Hi, I'm Rahel Philipose, and you are listening to Three Things, the Indian Express news show. In this episode, we speak about how community-level organizations and farm unions of Haryana are supporting protesting wrestlers. We also talk about Tillu Tajpuriya, who was killed by rival gang members in Tihar jail last week. But first, we talk about the Karnataka Assembly elections that are starting today. In the lead-up to the state election results, we've been doing stories to help you understand what's at stake in Karnataka. Yesterday, we had talked about the biggest issues on the minds of the voters in the state. And it seemed like the Basavaraj Bommai-led BJP government is facing anti-incumbency over multiple issues. For example, over the issue of 40% commission, which is an allegation that BJP leaders take up to 40% commission from contractors in exchange for giving them government contracts. There is also anger over recruitment scams, price rise, and unemployment. Now, to find out how the BJP tackled these issues in their campaign, my colleague Shashank Bhargava speaks to the Indian Express's Liz Mathew.
Liz, before we talk about anything else, could you begin by telling us how the BJP has performed in Karnataka over the years?
See, Karnataka is the only state where BJP has come to power or made some successful imprints in terms of electoral performance among the southern state. Karnataka is known as BJP's gateway to the south. But in Karnataka, BJP's growth is closely linked to B.S. Yediyurappa's performance and B.S. Yediyurappa. Although BJP's ideological parent, RSS, is very strong in Karnataka as well as in Kerala, electorally they could not make much in any other states, whether it is be it Tamil Nadu, be it in Kerala, be it in Andhra or Telangana. In Karnataka, it was B.S. Yediyurappa who actually helped BJP to come to power. He built the party there. He single-handedly managed to make that kind of a successful story of BJP in the southern state.
So what you're saying is that B.S. Yediyurappa has been absolutely crucial for the party there.
Yediyurappa was the BJP in one way, to put it in a very simple way, for the BJP in Karnataka. Of course, then there was other leaders, then there was a government, but BJP never could come to power on its own in the state, even with Yediyurappa.
Right, and what's important is that B.S. Yediyurappa is actually not contesting this time. He resigned from the post of the chief minister back in 2021 over multiple issues, really. And Basavaraj Bommai became the chief minister. So has his absence affected the party during the campaign?
Yes, it is affected. It has affected the BJP very badly. Actually, BJP leadership itself had kind of realized it, I think, a few months back before they went to poll. They got another Lingayat leader. As we know, BJP's major support base in Karnataka is the Lingayat community, of which Yediyurappa was a member. Now, Basavaraj Bommai is also a Lingayat. But, somehow Bommai could not, he didn't get much time also. Even with the short span of time, he could not much make very impressive steps or like so much impression among the community or the muds, very influential mud across the state. So the BJP realized that they will have to depend on BSY. Then they made him kind of a titular head in Karnataka BJP, and he was literally leading the campaign. But again, of course, the difference was very much felt on the ground because people know that, Karnataka people are very politically aware and conscious, and they knew that Yediyurappa is BJP leader, but he is not in the fray. If BJP comes back to power, there won't be any Yediyurappa. So they were very conscious of that fact on the ground.
Right. So this is going to be a big challenge for the BJP. But earlier you said that Karnataka is seen by the BJP as a gateway to the southern states. But does winning in Karnataka actually help with winning in a state like Kerala, for example?
No, it doesn't. Because Karnataka BJP had won earlier also. BJP had formed the governments there. So multiple times. But for BJP, it's a prestige issue because it is trying to make deep inroads in Telangana, and now with wooing a Christian community, the BJP is trying to make some inroads in Kerala. In Tamil Nadu, still that enthusiasm is lagging. In Andhra also, because it's a friendly party, YSRCP, so they are not being able to make considerable, improvement in the party on the ground. But in Telangana and recently in Kerala, they are making something. But of course, it is not to emerge as an Telangana, of course, they want trying to, because there is no Congress there. So they are trying to emerge as an alternative force ultimately. But in Kerala, they want to make some inroads and some seats, both in Lok Sabha and Assembly. But it itself is a very difficult and tough task for BJP as of now.
And Liz, what would it mean for the BJP if, say, the Congress came to power in the state?
See, if suppose Congress win the election and form the government, Karnataka is one of the richest state, and that is going to be a big impetus for the Congress as well as other opposition parties. This OUP, Opposition Unity Platform, will get strengthened, and Congress's role in that also will get a significant lift, which the Congress does not have much role. And leaders like Nitish Kumar was already in consultation with the Congress, so that those among the opposition who is keeping Congress as a hope at their leadership or at the hem of affairs, they will get more moral boost. Also, some push for that or the entire opposition effort. And another thing, Shashank, what you are seeing is at the end of this year, there are other 3 elections which are very prominent and very significant election, in which Congress and BJP are going to be in a direct fight. And suppose if Congress wins Karnataka, that will be a major boost for Congress, not just for morally, but also in terms of resources and, strength in the manpower, everything for the party.
Right, and now let's talk about some of the issues that BJP is facing in Karnataka right now. There seems to be anger about recruitment scams, the 40% commission issue, corruption, unemployment, and even the Nandini milk controversy. So is BJP worried about these issues at all?
Yes, of course, this corruption issue has had its impact. Unlike in the other state, Congress had successfully set a narrative in Karnataka. So the Congress's campaign or their social media efforts, which they made, some kind of settled that narrative or settled that kind of an impression among the people that this government, the BJP government, is corrupt and the sitting MLAs or the minister didn't do much work. Whether they have done work or not, there was some feeling on the ground that we needed a change. Actually, the election process started with that narrative that actually harmed the BJP initially, and the BJP was kind of, much behind the Congress. The Congress had a clear edge. But in the last few days, since Prime Minister Modi started his campaign, I don't know whether this is going to translate into votes. But what it has done is, it has brought out all those cadre, the remaining cadre and the remaining workers or volunteers of the RSS who were not campaigning or who were not out for BJP on the street. They came out and they started working on the campaign. But Shashank, I must tell you one thing. I felt the people there were differentiating between the Lok Sabha election and the state election. Of course, Prime Minister Modi is the most popular political leader when it comes to the national level. Half of the kind of work for the Lok Sabha they have already done, it seems like, because people are talking about Modi for 2024 already. Then, having said that, the voters were differentiating between the Lok Sabha and the state election, and they said there's no Modi here in Karnataka, Modi is in Delhi. So that differentiation, that is why I said I don't know whether this last minute push and last minute optics, that edge the BJP had in the last 1 week or last 10 days, that will translate into votes in favor of BJP. Only May 13 will tell you. But the BJP kind of managed in terms of optics to get a slight edge over the Congress in the last few days.
Right. So basically what you're saying is that in the face of all this criticism, the party got its national leaders like Prime Minister Narendra Modi, Amit Shah and Himanta Biswa Sarma to campaign in the state. And that didn't really sit well with some of the voters because these are not local leaders. So in a way, this also highlights that without Yediyurappa, BJP doesn't really have a CM face this time.
Actually not. even BJP leaders were not actually emphasizing on the fact that Basavaraj Bomme will be leading the government if they come to power. Officially, if you ask specifically, you can see some interviews. Mr. Amit Shah, the Home Minister, has said that Basavaraj Bomme is our Chief Minister and he is leading. Whether he will continue as the Chief Minister, no one has given any clear indication. But it also depends on how the verdict will be. If it is a hung assembly and the BJP is making an effort, then who's their partner and the partner's views, whether the partner is agreeing to have a BJP CM and that to Basavaraj Bomme, all these things will factor in when a decision on this will be taken. I just wanted to add one more thing. In the past also, the Prime Minister Modi was at its peak of popularity, when the party went to election in Maharashtra. Even Haryana, they couldn't retain the same number. Bihar once, the 2015, and also Jharkhand, Himachal, they lost. So it is not a sure case or sure story that under Prime Minister Modi, despite his popularity, the BJP lost state election. That's what I meant to say. So, and Karnataka being another state which is south and which is very different, and it has a history of changing, sending parties alternatively. I think in the last 3 decades, no party could repeat the victory. And so, like I said, initially the Congress had the edge. I don't know whether they have retained that edge till the moment, but optic-wise, BJP has done a lot of work in the last few days.
Okay, and Liz, the other thing that caught people's attention was something that the BJP put in its manifesto. And this was the promise that it will bring the NRC in the state, which is a tool to segregate citizens from non-citizens. And one can argue that this makes sense for a state like Assam, which borders Bangladesh. But why does the BJP want to implement this in Karnataka?
See, BJP's NRC point is just for some pockets where, coastal area and some old Mysuru pockets where there is a communal polarization is in the process or in work, or it always help BJP or any other party. That is why, because immediately after the manifesto was released, I interviewed Dr. Sudhagar, the current health minister and the manifesto committee convener. So he was kind of playing it down. He was saying, this is not something that we are going to do it immediately. See, of course, it's some pockets, maybe some immigrant issue, but it is not a big issue. But I think BJP just went with that all narrative of to pleasing some section of society to keep that element intact. But the Congress could not make that into a big issue. But I'm saying this is the difference. When it comes to the BJP, they took the Bajrang Dal issue unabashedly, that they left no stone unturned to make it into the major election point, and even the right from Prime Minister to everyone spoke about it. And where the Congress, they felt disarmed there.
And just for the benefit of our listeners who may not know the Bajrang Dal issue, the Congress in its manifesto said that it will take decisive action against organizations like the PFI and the Bajrang Dal. And the BJP took that as an opportunity to hit out at the Congress party.
Yes, because of the machinery it has and because of the leadership it has, the BJP, the Prime Minister Modi could take it up despite all the warnings and the cries of foul from opposition as well as experts. They didn't bother. They just went ahead with that issue. That is where I said, personally speaking, I felt the Congress should have been very careful when it's mentioned such sensitive issues on its manifesto. Ideally speaking, Congress should have foreseen this kind of an pushback from the BJP side and be careful about it. But anyway, it happened, and I don't know how far it is going to affect the election result, but it definitely affects the election campaign and Congress, which had supremacy on the campaign trail and in the campaign scene. They lost it in the last few days.
And next, we talk about the wrestlers' protest. Since last month, some of India's top wrestlers like Bajrang Punia, Sakshi Malik and Vinesh Fogart have been protesting against BJP MP and the President of the Wrestling Federation of India, Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh, accusing him of sexually harassing women wrestlers. Earlier this year, the government had constituted an oversight committee to look into their grievances, but till now, no action has been taken against Brij Bhushan. And this is why wrestlers are continuing to protest at Delhi's Jantar Mantar.
देखिए, गवर्नमेंट ने 4 हफ्ते का टाइम बोला था, हम 3 महीने से वेट कर रहे हैं। आज भी हम न्याय के लिए वेट कर रहे हैं। देश की जनता के सामने आए हम, हमें देश की जनता उच्च न्यायालय हमें न्याय।
Now, this protest has had a significant impact in Haryana. And the Indian Express's Sukhbir Siwach says that this is because all the protesting wrestlers are from the state.
Because a large number of wrestlers come from Haryana, this issue has a lot of importance because these wrestlers who are from rural areas, so they are very close to the issue, and there is a lot of mobilization in support of these wrestlers. So at the moment, a lot of protests are taking place in support of these wrestlers.
And he says that this was evident after Olympic medalist Bajrang Punia gave a call to the people in Haryana and urged them to come out and support them.
On the call of Bajrang Punia, this candle march took place in different parts of Haryana, from towns to villages. So this is one. In these protests, the small children, youngsters, students, and farmers participated in different parts of the state.
But that was just one part of the protest. Now, different community level organizations and farm unions have also come out in support of the wrestlers. And Sukhbir says that they are more organized and have a long-term plan.
They have planned a big protest on May 10th in Jin town of Haryana. After that, they will be staging such protests at district headquarters across the state. After that, they have planned a Mahapanchayat in Mehem town of Rohtak district, where they will take a call about their future course of action. So as of now, people are coming out in support of these wrestlers. They are staging protests. They are making these toll plazas free so that there is no toll charges are there for the vehicle. So there are a lot of ways to protest in support of the wrestlers.
And while this is going on in Haryana, a group of such protesters, including farm leaders, have already arrived at Jantar Mantar in New Delhi. This group held a panchayat there on Sunday, and Sukhbir says that during it, they took some concrete decisions about how to go ahead with the protest.
So they have given an ultimatum that the accused should be arrested by May 21st. After that, they'll be deciding their next course of action. That day on May 21, they'll be meeting in Rohtak district of Haryana, where they will take future course of action and they may take any decision.
Now, turns out all of the support also led to the state BJP leaders speaking up in favor of the wrestlers, which hadn't happened till now. And this is a big deal because, as we've mentioned earlier, Brij Bhushan is a BJP MP from Uttar Pradesh. In fact, he had been elected 5 times on a BJP ticket. And Sukhbir says the reason why BJP leaders are now speaking out is because the entire matter has become an emotional issue in Haryana. And the BJP leaders of the state do not want to be seen on the wrong side of this.
Brij Bhushan is a BJP MP from Uttar Pradesh, that is true. But the leaders from Haryana, they want to save their constituencies, they want to save their vote bank. So, that is their compulsion to speak in the support of the people who are coming on roads. A lot of leaders from the BJP, even senior leaders like State Home Minister Mr. Anil Vij, has openly stated that he is with the wrestlers. One more BJP MP from Hisar, Brijendra Singh, he has also said that he is with the farmers. Former Union Minister Chaudhry Birinder Singh has also come in support of these wrestlers. In fact, everybody in Haryana knows that if this agitation goes on, then there will be certainly some political implications. The people will be angry because the security of the girls is very important, especially in a state where a lot of girls participate in sports events. So this has become an emotional issue. In these circumstances, the BJP leaders know that certainly there will be political implications. So they don't want to be stand against these agitating wrestlers. And because the assembly elections are due in October 2024, and before that there will be Lok Sabha elections also, so there may be political implications. The political leaders would not like to invite anger of people. So they don't want to be aside any politically wrong situation. They would like to be seen in the spot of people who are seeking justice at the moment.
Though Sukhbir also points out an important distinction. He says that while the Haryana BJP leaders are coming out in support of the wrestlers, they're not really speaking out very strongly against Brij Bhushan himself.
The statements coming out from the BJP leaders are very politically correct statements. Like they are not seeking any harsh action against the accused who is BJP MP. They are giving just mild statements. I would like to quote the statement of State Home Minister Mr. Anil Vij. What he said, I support the wrestlers. I will speak to the high-ups in the government if needed. So these are very politically correct statements. So they are playing very safely at the moment.
And next we talk about the murder of a gangster in Tihar jail. Last week, notorious gangster Tillu Tajpuriya was stabbed to death by 4 inmates from a rival gang inside Delhi's Tihar jail. This happened despite the presence of hundreds of CCTV cameras, prison guards and other security measures. For obvious reasons, his murder raised serious concerns about security arrangements in the prison, which also happens to be the largest prison in South Asia. Following the incident, action was taken against officials from the Tamil Nadu Special Police who were deployed at the prison. To understand what happened to Tillu Tajpuriya and the security concerns raised by his murder, the Indian Express's Jignasa Sinha joins us in this segment. So Jignasa, to start with, can you tell us who was Tillu Tajpuriya?
So, Tillu Tajpuriya's real name is Sunil Balyan. He was this 33-year-old gang leader of the Tillu gang. And though simply saying that he started off as a wrestler, when he was young, in his 20s, he was just a simple boy from Tajpur village in outer Delhi. But later, during his college days at Shraddhanand College, he and one of his childhood friends, Jitendra Man, alias Gogi, they got into this fight during student elections, and that changed everything for both of them. They both got into criminal activities and soon became heads of their own gangs. And Tillu had led his gang for like almost a decade, and he's involved in over 14 cases.
Right. And he was arrested in 2016 for multiple crimes, right? Like carjacking, murder, extortion. But even after getting imprisoned, he managed to orchestrate many crimes from inside jail, right?
Yeah, he would often be caught with mobile phones and other devices like internet dongles, SIM cards, weapons, because while he was inside Tihar, he was in touch with all his associates and he was guiding them on, how to lead extortion bids or commit robberies or just fire at their rivals. And the infamous Rohini shootout case, it was, the Delhi police said on record that it was Tillu who orchestrated the whole crime, the whole plan and everything from inside the jail. He was in touch with his associates outside and they planned this within 2 months and they successfully killed their rival Jitendra Gogi in 2021, September.
Right. And Jignasa, like you mentioned, there was this tense rivalry between the two gangs. Ultimately, Jitendra Gogi's death in the Rohini shootout case almost seemed like the last straw. Can you talk about the rivalry between the Tillu and Gogi gangs?
So yeah, if we see Tillu and his gangs like crime graph or like just records, it's all about taking revenge from Gogi gang and other rivals. And once it was found that Gogi is dead and Tillu is behind the murder, it was clear to everyone, including his rivals, that Tillu is someone who will not stop and keep taking revenge and keep getting involved himself in gang war. So once the news of his death broke out, there were these several gangsters who were looking for Tillu, who wanted to take revenge. But because Tillu was in jail, the process got delayed as far as we know. And it was these 4 men, the 4 gangsters, Riaz Khan, Rajesh, Yogesh Tunda, and Deepak Titar. Titar and Tunda are again like big criminals. All 4 of them are lodged in jail and they were the ones who carried out this plan of killing Tillu and taking revenge on Gogi's death last week.
Right, but how is it that these four men managed to kill Tillu despite the CCTVs and the security arrangements at Tihar?
Yeah, so I mean, Tihar being South Asia's biggest jail and with such high security and more than 970 cameras, 250 guards, these four gangsters just managed to not only kill Tillu, but like it was so brutal that they stabbed him like 90 times and over 90 times. And that takes like a lot of time, planning, and just like they had no fear of the authorities. And there are videos that show them stabbing Tillu in front of jail guards. For them, it was all a matter of luck, that opportunity that they were all in the same jail, that is jail number 8. So the planning started with, since these four gangsters were on the first floor of the jail and Tillu was lodged on the ground floor, they decided that let's somehow reach ground floor and then we will use these improvised weapons to kill him. So though Tihar jail officials claim that they conduct regular checks and there's frisking around every gate and every watchtower and every place, but it's just not possible for them to frisk like 3K, 4K prisoners in one jail. All these jails are very crowded. And we have found that jail officials, it almost took them 5 to 8 minutes. Like despite it being Tihar and despite there being 970 cameras there, it almost took them 5 to 8 minutes to get them to reach there. And once they reached there, they pulled Tillu out. But even in the common room, because they had weapons and the jail officials who were unarmed, so these men managed to come outside and then they stabbed Tillu again like 5 to 10 times more because they were just scared that what if he's alive? They didn't want to leave any chance, and then they stabbed him again and that's when he died.
Okay, so the security lapses are pretty evident. And in the last week, several police officials have been pulled up, many of whom actually belong to the Tamil Nadu Special Force. Can you tell us what the reason is for that? Like, why are these officials from Tamil Nadu at Tihar in the first place?
So this is because in 1976, there were these number of prisoners who managed to dig a tunnel and all of them escaped from Tihar and they managed to flee from the city. And this was like a major security lapse in Tihar. And later, during inquiry, police found that all of these inmates, they were from Haryana and other northern states, and the jail officials as well. They were also from Delhi and other states because due to the proximity. So they wrote to the center asking that this is an issue in Tihar, that most of the inmates and most of the jail officials are from the same area and speak the same language. And it becomes difficult not to, like, there are times where they either, the officials are hand in gloves with these criminals and maybe they're planning something, and that created a lot of hindrance in security. So after talking to the center deployed Tamil Nadu officials, and because even Tamil Nadu people don't usually speak Hindi, is not their first language. So these officials were specifically deployed here so that these officers who don't, I'm saying as per jail officials, that these officers don't understand Hindi and do not collude with the criminals. That was the main aim, the objective of this. However, in Tillu's case, there have been videos where we can see that Tamil Nadu jail officials, they're just standing as mute spectators. And these are not my words, these are the words of jail officials and police officials who said that while Tillu is being stabbed like multiple times, they're just standing, they are not doing anything. And though Tihar officials have suspended 8 officers, in addition to that, Tamil Nadu Special Force has asked for these 7 jail officials to come back to the state, like not at all perform their duties in Delhi. But despite that, there's this thing that these officials are usually unarmed. The inquiry has revealed that because jail officials cannot carry pistols or guns or rifles or any weapons. So because of that, there's like this major security lapse issue that these officials are only provided with batons and they cannot act against prisoners, even in cases of emergency.
Right. And Jignasa, apart from the guards not being able to access weapons during an emergency, what other security concerns would you say this incident raises?
So from the official side, it's like a major blunder from all the security angles and everything. And this is not the first time this has happened. Like, it was just last month that another gangster, Prince Tewatia, I mean, he was not as big as Tillu, but he was also killed amid high security by inmates who were lodged in the same jail. So one of the biggest issues in Tihar is police officials and Tihar officials are not able to segregate among inmates. They are not able to segregate opposing gang leaders, opposing gang members, high-risk inmates. At this point, almost anybody can attack anybody because police officials or jail officials have not acted on these inputs. I mean, if there's members of Gogi and Tillu gang, obviously they should not be put in the same jail. Leave the same ward, yeah? And I think second would be overcrowding. As per officials, like jail number 8 was operating at almost double or triple its capacity, which then leads to, a lot of these men living together in the same prison and being able to plan such crimes and execute it, like make weapons without being caught, or just hiding these weapons in their cells, or being able to use bed sheets as ropes, because the ratio of officials to inmates is like a lot more than it should be. So yeah, I mean, another issue is overcrowding. And then there's this security lapse issue of jail officials not being armed. The Tihar has a reserve of weapons, but that can again be used in cases of emergency, and these weapons are kept aside. So with the jail officials not having weapons, inmates have any day more power than the officials. They can use these weapons to scare officials, to kill inmates, to create nuisance.
You were listening to 3 Things by the Indian Express. Today's show was hosted by me, Rahel Philipose, and written and produced by me, Rahel Philipose, Shashank Bhargava, and Utsa Sarmin, who originally spoke to Sukhbir Siwach for the Haryana story. It was edited and mixed by Suresh Pawar. If you like the show, then do subscribe to us wherever you get your podcasts. You can also recommend the show to someone who you think will like it. Share it with a friend or someone in your family. It's the best way for people to get to know about us. You can also tweet us at Express Podcasts and write to us at podcasts@indianexpress.com.